Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who's the founder and chair of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Agyanati Marandasya Kanangana Salavya Chatsurin Militam Yana Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yana Bhutare Swayam Rupa Karamayam Darati Saha Prantikam. Today our topic is programming your mind for victory. Too many people let their minds and their thoughts keep them from getting out of the starting blocks of life. I'll never get out of debt. I'll never lose this weight. The economy is probably going to sink my business. My marriage is never going to last. Too many people let their own uncontrolled thoughts keep them from getting out of the starting gate. This is going to set limits for your life. Henry Ford put it nicely. He said, whether you're in the camp of people who think you can, or whether you're in the camp of people who think you can't, you're both right. You think you got it bad? Well, here's a picture of Nick Vujicic, Australian-born, wrote a best-selling book called Life Without Limbs, Life Without Limits. He markets a very popular DVD for young people. The title of his DVD is, I'll say it in Aussie if I can, no arms, no legs, no worries, mate. And beside him in this picture is Bethany Hamilton. She lost her arm due to a shark attack at the age of 13. She was back surfing 3 weeks later, 2014. She took first place in the Surf and Sea Pipeline, 2009, second place in the World Championships, 2002, first place in the National Champion Scholastic Surfing Association Junior Championship. She wrote an autobiographical book called Soul Surfer, and there was a film made of the same name. You probably feel less sorry for yourself right now. Our attitude should be, today is going to be a great day. Favors are chasing me down. Blessings are coming my way. And no obstacles too big to keep me from my destiny. Missing arms, missing legs, missing whatever. Krishna and me are majority. What that is programming your mind, not for defeat, but for victory, because you're going to become what it is you believe. If you believe you'll always be heavy, guess what? You're going to always be heavy. If you believe you'll never break that addiction, you're probably not going to break that addiction. If you believe you're not talented, you don't have much to offer, you probably won't end up having very much to offer at all. But you can easily turn all that around with more positive energy, start programming your mind for victory. Krishna is known as Vijay, which is another name for victorious. Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna Yatapa. Wherever there's a name of Krishna, wherever there are those who are dedicating, putting on the altar their talents and their abilities, their dreams and aspirations, there will never be defeat. There will never be despondency. Just the opposite. Those who keep God first place will be invincible. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Krishna promises us himself, the creator of millions of universes. Name Parta Pranashati. My devotee will never perish. We're not orphans. We're not adrift. We're not alone in this quagmire of this material world. Just the opposite. We're sons and daughters of the Most High God. And we can say to Krishna, by your grace, not by my efforts alone, but by your grace, with your wind in my sails, we will overcome all these obstacles of material life. Not easy. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that this material world is an ocean of problems, an ocean of dangers, an ocean of jeopardy. Samsrita yet pada palava pavam. Virtually at every step, there's risk. At every step, there's danger. If you're in the middle of the ocean, whatever temporary arrangement you might make, build a raft, learn to fish, put some shade on you're still in an extremely hazardous circumstance. Similarly, we're in the ocean, we're in the samsara of material nature, birth, death, disease, and old age. We cannot cross this on ourselves. And yet the dramatic statement is made that if we take shelter at the lotus feet of the Almighty Lord and get ourselves aligned with His purposes for our life, that uncrossable, unsurmountable ocean shrinks, metaphorically speaking, to as much water as sinks into the hoof print of a calf in the middle of the field. Nobody even thinks twice about stepping over it. Our purpose tonight is to negate. So imagine whatever the icon would be for low expectations. Just imagine we're negating that today. The Buddha said it nice. He said, what we think, we become. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make ourselves. Through ourselves, we see the world. Now, how many people program your mind for failure, program your mind for mediocrity, program your mind for ill health? Have you said or heard someone say 1,000 times, I'll never get well? And your mind, hearing that, goes to work, just doing exactly that. The mind, then, having heard that, makes sure you'll never get well. Make sure more swelling, more pain, more discomfort. And how many people do you know going around feeling insecure, intimidated, unqualified? The mind's going to work, gives them instruction to make sure they're slow, they're clumsy, they're awkward, they make mistakes. What's happening there? The mind is programming them for defeat. The mind is working perfectly, helping us to become what it is that we think. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says, Bandhura atmatmanastasya yenatmanaivajatasya. The mind can either be your best friend, or if it's not controlled, directed properly, it will be your worst enemy. So our encouragement is, or discouragement, depending on how you want to see it, is to not tell this incredible tool, this command center that Krishna gave us to release defeat, to release poison, to release failure, to release mediocrity. Because if we simply turn that energy around, we can achieve everything in the positive direction. If we just start telling ourselves, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, you're well equipped, you're well able. From her birth in 1920, it looked as if Wilma Rudolph would go through life as a loser, an invalid, someone handicapped, a non-starter. She was born prematurely. She was born with not one, but double pneumonia, as well as scarlet fever. It wasn't long before, on top of everything else, she had a bout with polio, which left her with a crooked left leg and a foot twisted inward. However, she didn't have a pity party. She didn't feel sorry for herself. She got to work, determined not to allow her disability to get into the way of her dreams. Her mother often encouraged her, honey, the most important thing in your life is for you to believe in a great destiny, and with that vision out in front of you, keep following it. You may or may not know that in 1940, in the Olympics, she broke 3 world records. She was the first woman to ever win 3 gold medals. She shared her story in 1977 with her autobiography called Wilma. Later, that was also turned into a television film. 1980, she was inducted into the Olympic Hall of Fame and established the Wilma Rudolph Foundation to promote amateur athletics, especially with regard to African-American female athletes. So what's going on with these people? They are guarding their minds. They may have physical shortcomings. They may not have everything that you and I have, but what they do have is a mind that will not turn towards defeat. They're sending out to that incredible command center the right instructions. They're not going to send out what they feel at any given moment or what the circumstances seem to dictate at any given moment, but they're going to put out what they believe God says about them, what they believe God created them for. And that is that I am blessed, I am healthy, I am well able, I am free. And I'm going to program all of that into the computer of my mind. I'm going to think thoughts of victory. Well, Charu, do I look like I'm blessed? Do I look like I'm healthy? Here's the key. You may not look blessed. You may not look healthy, but you got to believe it before you see it. You can't say to God, well, I'm going to see it and then I'm going to believe it, because that's what faith is all about. You have to believe it and then you can see it. Otherwise, why would we need faith? Why would we need trust in a supreme being? I may not be able to see how I get out of debt. I may not be able to see how I can get healthy, how I can get clean, but I don't have to see it because I walk by faith and not by sight. Krishna said it. I may not see it, but I believe it. If he said it, it's good enough for me. The Lord has said many things about us in the Bhagavad Gita, past, present, and future. That God has given a promise, a blessing on your life, does not mean that it's automatically going to happen. We have to do our part and get into agreement with God. In other words, you may not feel blessed today. There may be a lot of things coming against you with your family, with your finances. Your mind can easily talk you out of it. No way, I'm blessed. No way is that going to happen to me. But you have to have a certain boldness. Krishna, if you say I'm blessed, then I'm blessed. And when you get into agreement with Krishna or God like that, that allows him to then release the promises which already have your name on them. He can pull those gifts from the unseen spiritual world into the physical realm. Prabhupada said these words here: the mind is not to be killed. Mind or desire cannot be stopped, but to develop a desire to function for spiritual realization, the equality of engagement by the mind has to be changed. The mind is the pivot of the active sense organs, and as such, if the quality of thinking, feeling, and willing is changed, naturally the quality of actions by the instrument and the senses will also change. Imagine a crown on each and every one of your head. Not a crown of defeat, not a crown of thorns, not a crown of mediocrity, but a crown of Krishna, God's favor. You're not supposed to go through the day thinking, why do I always get the short end of the stick? Why do I get all the bad breaks? Why does nothing good ever come to me? When those thoughts come, try an exercise. Try an imagination. Reach out and adjust your crown of favor. You don't have to pray for something that you already have. If you already have it, if it already has your name on it, you just have to act like it's true. You are talented. You are strong. You are redeemed. Not one day, not in the sweet by and by. No, you are already created as more than a conqueror. There's these billboards recently in Utah. 1 in 5 people the government has money. It has money with your name on it. You've seen those billboards, right? There's money with you. All you have to do is show your ID, and then they give you the money that's some or other you didn't know you had. That's all you have to do. You don't have to qualify. You don't have to jump through any hoops. All you have to do is show your driver's license, and those things automatically accrue to you. They don't become yours when you pick them up. They are already yours. It's not will call. There's no late charges. There's no shortages. It's not limited to the first 100. Now, the nature of Krishna's warehouse is not that 1 in 5 people have something in their name. It's that every single one of his created children has unlimited, innumerable gifts, talents, and abilities. And the more of these that you claim from this warehouse, the more your gifts, talents, and abilities increase. The more you take, the more it fills up. Our attitude should be going in there with a wheelbarrow, with a truck, plunder that warehouse for the things that have our name in it. And as soon as you take one thing out, 2 things will appear. As soon as you write one song, then the lyrics to 2 more songs will come to you. As soon as you write your first book, you'll get ideas for your second and third books. As soon as you make your first $1 million and give 10% to Krishna, then you'll make your second $1 million. Everything is already arranged. We just have to do our part. That's all. Rise up. rise up. That doesn't sound a lot better than looking down, feeling all sorry for yourself all the time. Because it's your time. It's your season. But you have to claim it. You have to start acting on it. You may not see a way, but if you can conceive it on the inside, one day it'll manifest on the outside. If you prosper in your soul on the inside, then it's only a matter of time before that prosperity manifests itself on the outside. Temples, festivals, radio stations, feasts, friends, family, career, occupation. Never say, I'm going to do this, or I'm hoping one day that if everything works out, if everything lines up, if all the stars are in the right places, then I'll step out to accomplish my God-given dreams. No, right now, you need to step out. Because right now, Krishna declares you as victorious, blessed, and prosperous. Mokam karoti vacharam pangam layate giram yakripatam amane sri gurun dinatarinam. You would think at the end of life, when decrepitude sets in and the mind becomes feeble, that's pretty much all she wrote. It's time to retire, sit on the sidelines, take our pension. But here's the example of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He says, I can't walk properly. I'm lame. I can't see. He says, my hand trembles. I'm deaf. It's true, he'd written many devotional classics 500 years ago there in Bengal. But he hadn't written anything in over 20 years. And he was in the autumnal years of his life. He never thought that he would have it in him to write another book. And yet, the devotees came to him and they said, we need a biography of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you're the only one qualified to write it. And he said, well, physically in the natural, I can't write anything. I can't even see. But, mokam karoti vachalam pangana. If God wills it, a blind man can see stars in the skies. A lame man can cross mountains. So he went, he prayed, he said, Krishna, if you want me to write this book, then by your grace, please empower me to do so. He wrote the 17-volume, get your own copy of the gifts, or 17-volume devotional classic, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the definitive biography of the golden avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, under such debilitating conditions that the fact that he even wrote it at all has got to be one of the spiritual wonders of the world. Similarly, big dreams are inside of each and every one of you. One day, Krishna intends for you to start a temple, start a business, sing a song, write a book, come out of debt, raise wonderful children. Krishna always puts bigger things in our spirit than our mind can handle. But the trick is, don't talk yourself out of it. Even if the odds seem against you, even if it seems like it would be a waste of your time to even try. When there's no reason for hope in the natural, devotees hope against hope because we serve a supernatural God. Because we're not moved by what we see, but we act on what we know. And I know that Krishna has empowered me, has equipped me. He has a promise in my heart. There are talents, abilities, gifts with my name on them. They already belong to me. Now, I'm not going to cower. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to shirk. I'm going to do my part, start acting like it's true, start talking like it's true, start thinking like it's true, start planning like it's true, and even start dressing like it's true. I don't know if you know this, but there's a prospecting store in Spanish Fork. It doubles as a key place, but they have prospectors' supplies in Spanish Fork. Think of this. If you want to find gold, do you walk through the mountains and expect the gold to jump out of the creeks and the caves into your hand? If you have a reasonable expectation that there's gold somewhere, then you have to go into Spanish Fork and you have to purchase the prospecting tools, which are available for that purpose. You have to go to where you think there's the greatest likelihood of gold. You have to have envisioned the gold underneath the ground. But that's not enough to have the vision. You have to get the equipment, the tools, and you have to uncover it. It's not really that difficult. The gold's there. The tools are available. But if you're too lazy to get the tools and go to where the gold is and get the dirt off the top of the gold, then I don't think you're ever going to be a wealthy man. The gold is already there. Your vision is already there. You just have to start and do a little digging. Similarly, our purpose this evening is to expand your consciousness to all the possibilities in your life. These things may seem difficult, but they're not difficult when you have the Lord of millions and millions of universes on your side. Hard things become easy. Bobby and I came here 40 years ago. We had no money. There were no devotees. There's no resources. There wasn't even a very large Indian community at that time. I have to tell you, I can stand here after 2 temples built from the ground up, a radio station, the most successful color festival in North America. I can tell you, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't as hard as it sounds. And other people find it immensely difficult to pay the rent. Well, what's the difference? Here it is, this wonderful command center that we call the mind. Are you going to talk yourself into what God has already with your name on it? Or are you going to talk yourself out of it? Enlarge your vision. Dare to call yourself victorious before you can even see it. Based on what's inside of you, call yourself debt-free, even if the bills have piled up. Based on what's inside, call yourself well, even when the doctor says it doesn't look good. Based on what's in yourself, call yourself successful, even when business is slow. Based on what's in yourself, call yourself happily married, even if you haven't had a date in 5 years. Based on what's inside, talk about being blessing to the world, even at a time when you cannot barely even take care of yourself. Well, true. Oh, that's just pie in the sky. Wishful thinking. No, that's not wishful thinking. That's doing what God does, bringing unseen things which already exist into the realm of the seen. If you look out this window, you can see Bishop John Kohler's little house there at the base of the Dream Mine. Sometime in 1946, he looked out over this hill and he saw this temple. He saw this temple. He told the people around him, one day there will be a gorgeous temple on that hill. He thought it might be more tactful not to mention that it would be not a Mormon temple. He saw the temple. The temple was already there. We didn't create the temple. The temple was already there. It had our name on it, had your name on it. We just brought it from the unseen to the seen. That's what God does. Let there be light. Yeah, people in Los Angeles, where we were serving before we left there and came to Utah, they thought we were out of our minds. And it's true. We were out of our minds. That was a good thing. We were out of our natural, materialistic, limited minds, and we had put our minds into the unlimited realm of faith, into the realm of God-given dreams. In June, just 2 months from now, will be the 23rd anniversary of the opening of this temple here in Spanish Fork, Utah. Our encouragement today is your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Talk victory into your mind. Program your mind for victory. If you do this, there are blessings. There are dreams which will come to fulfillment. There's peace, prosperity, happiness, meaningfulness, purposefulness in your life, this life, and next life, you'll go back to home, back to God. If any of that makes sense to you, resonates with you, you're welcome to raise your hands along with me. And the words are right there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.